Robert here again, fact-checking stories that scare you. And this is about the India and China, the first casualties since the 1970s. This is not in any way a World War III risk. They didn't exchange gunfire and the soldiers on both sides patrol without weapons. There was fist-fighting and stone-throwing in a flat area near to a river in the Himalayas. Now, we didn't know much at the time, but a little bit more has turned up since then. So what it is that there's the line of actual control, which is located somewhere near the bend in this river. Now this is a very vague situation in the Himalayas, where both sides dispute what the line of actual control is. Now it's pretty obvious that that river has created this bend. There's probably that whole thing has just been created by a big surge of flood water coming down. I don't know, but this is what's happened. That this is the Chinese side of the river, and the Chinese built this big camp. And while they were building it, the Indians said, "Oh, that's our part of the Himalayas. That's not your part." And then they must have gone across the river and done a big fight there. And the Chinese fought them back, and so you can see both sides thought they were right. They've now retreated, and the Indians have now got defensive barriers on their side of the river, and the Chinese have an entire new camp on construction in this little bit. It's just a tiny, tiny bit. But this happens when you have countries that are very, very focused on their borders, and just being able to advance a few hundred meters becomes a big thing sometimes. It seems so to the people who are working in that area, even though in the bigger scheme of things 100 meters is nothing. And maybe it has some strategic advantage. You can imagine it might well do. So that particular spot, because it's a big flat area, the Indians have a big flat area there as well, but they don't seem to be building a camp on their area. And anyway, this is the sort of thing that happens. It does not mean, and it's up in the Himalayas, very remote area of the Himalayas, and this is an actual photograph of them fighting at the time. And several of these people died, sadly. And the sad thing is they were in the process of de-escalating at the time. Now, it's very harsh conditions. It was the Himalayas, people easily falling into frozen water, dying of thermal, dying of the cold. It's no wonder that many of them died, probably on both sides, because of combination of their injuries from the fist fight with hypothermia. 3 died right away and 17 later, for a total of 20 on the Indian side, and it may be updated since then, and the Chinese are not sharing their numbers because they don't want to start a comparison of numbers. But senior members on both sides are meeting to diffuse the situation. This sort of thing does not lead to world war. It just is not the sort of thing. And Pakistan and India often have interchanges of some sort, small scale, very irritations along, minor irritations, what you call them, the word, aggravations along their border. But this does not follow into, and as they say, one of the comments, the fact that the 15th of June incident, despite the fatalities, did not boil over into a larger conflict is one positive signal that higher-ups on both sides are not interested in sparking any kind of war. They just don't see it like that. They don't come and say, "Oh, we've got a little conflict, great, goody, I want to go to war with China," or "I want to go to war with India." When you get small-scale things start a war, then there is already some wish to have a war. And then this is the final spark that they use as an excuse. But that is not the situation here. That is why sometimes things do escalate into a war from a small thing, because both sides are already gung-ho and wanting to fight. But this is the opposite. Nobody wants a war between India and China in the modern world. So they immediately de-escalate. It happens every time. They work very hard to de-escalate. So please bear that in mind, and every time we have an escalation like that, people say, oh, but small things started World War I. It was just some little incident in Austria. It's not the same. It's not the same at all. And we are in a very different world. This is not the world of World War I or World War II. It's a very different world. And we see this over and over and over again. Small things lead to de-escalation. Every time. And every time you get the Daily Express says, this is the start of World War III, we're going to have a nuclear war tomorrow. It never happens. Immediately, both sides are de-escalating, especially if it involves one of the great powers or one of the people with nuclear weapons. Their immediate response is, we must de-escalate. That's absolutely top priority. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes there's lots of political difficulties in de-escalating. There's lots and lots of political issues in this area of the Himalayas. They will be having high-up discussions, trying to figure out what to do. China doesn't like the way that India is building roads and airports in this region. And India obviously doesn't like this new camp that the Chinese have created. There'll be lots of things for them to talk at a higher level, but they will be talking back and forth and doing everything they can to de-escalate, and it is not going to lead to war. I can say that with great confidence. So hopefully that helps you if you are scared of this one. Remind again, you like and subscribe, and do join our Doomsday Debunk group. If you're easily scared and you got scared by some of these, then I'm one of the fact checkers, and there are many more fact checkers there who will help you with your fear. And also people are good at helping you if just get through what it's like, and with any mental health issues and so on, guide you in the right direction. We have a lot of quite a big, building up quite a lot of support in the group now for many different people who are able to help you in various ways. So do come and join our group, either to help or to be helped. Indeed, many of the people who come to our group in order to get help end up staying if they don't find it too scary. Some people find all the stories that come to the group too scary, so once you've got your thing over, if you find it scary, then you may need to leave the group. But many people find all the debunks really help them, and they stay, and once they're over the particular thing that scares them, then they often stay and they'll help you with your fears. So some of the people helping you have been through the exact same process themselves, and are there, and they can say, well, I was scared like that 2, 3 weeks ago, 3 months ago, 5 months ago, a year ago, and I got through it, and you can get through it too. So that is how our group works. So that's a call out for Doomsday Debunk Facebook group.